Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Philosophia Floating World, which was a game that I had backed on Kickstarter, basically just off theme alone. Like, I wouldn't say obsessed, but I really love feudal Japan eras, and I was like, sure, that art looks pretty amazing, I'll buy this off of that. And this is one of those very few times that whenever you kind of blindly back or buy something, that it pans out. This game is fantastic.
It's pretty good.
I thoroughly enjoy it because we were talking about innovation earlier today, especially with deck building, and this is one of the most innovative deck builders I've played. There is so much that goes around that. It has an Edge of Darkness feel just because your deck is not dictated by just you basically solo building your own deck. Mm-hmm. Your opponents have so much actual control over what you are allowed to do. And I think that's extremely fascinating because you want to build in a way that's obviously when you deck build, you're building in a way that makes it to where, okay, obviously this is going to pop off at some point, but in this one, I feel like you're kind of building for what you're going to end up giving to your opponent.
Right. What I was trying to do was trying to make your deck so juicy that it made the decisions that much harder. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing. You want to have as many of those search actions as you can, so maybe you'll get two in your same hand, and then it kind of messes with the decision making and stuff.
Yeah, because what you do is each card, well, not each card, but most cards have a collection, which is what your opponent collects no matter what, and then the actions that you're available. So whenever my thought was, okay, the locations were fantastic as well, because it's like, oh, free move. Like, I had a free move that I then started to go with the search ones, because I was like, okay, I'll just go place to place. Like, granted, I was on the opposite side of Japan the entire time, so it wasn't going to end up happening anyway. But just having the free abilities to be able to do, kind of mitigate how you're going to build your deck is also why I went for kind of burning a little bit more. Like, I burned 3 cards, right. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but, I mean, those are actions that you're taking away from yourself as well as potential resources you're going to spend. So I was trying to build in a way that no matter what I gave you, you were going to have a hard time
right, and I
deciding.
think that's the crux of the system.
But at the same time, it also kind of burned because I was limited on resources the entire game. Like, there were times where I had to take a certain hand because it gave me resources, and I was like, ugh, like, it was getting pretty crux down towards the end. Brad, what do you think of the game?
Well, if you know anything about me, feudal Japan is probably one of my least favorite themes in it. But this one I enjoyed because I like deck building, and this threw something new in it. Yeah. You know, with the opponent choosing the piles and all that stuff. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before necessarily that I've played. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there, but having those decisions, and the board is small, so it has that not hidden movement, but hidden location aspect to it as well. Yeah. They were able to jam pack a bunch of decisions in game without Kickstarters a lot of times are just take up the whole table, all that kind of,
all surface level
this
stuff.
Was not bloat.
No,
like there seemed to be the decks aren't oversized, they're the monster deck's not punishing. No. So if you just try for that one, you just have to have the stuff. It's not like you have to spend the stuff even if you fail. Yeah. And the stuff like that. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. Going into the stuff, I like that they have your winning conditions are flat right here in front of you, telling you how to win the game. All the icons are on here, pretty self-explanatory. It was a quick learn, really.
Yeah, it was pretty simple. It looks busy because the rule book is a lot of tiny text, and so you look at it and you're just like, oh god. But no, it's very straightforward. The icons immediately make sense. There's a couple things that I don't think are bad. Like, I wouldn't necessarily call them negatives, but I do think they're weird. And one of them, you mentioned the monster deck. So it is nice that it's not punishing for, because you just blindly draw. And you're like, oh, I happen to have the stuff for it. So you kind of do prep. You shop for a little bit, getting the ingredients, and then hopefully you have the time and the money to be able to kill it. But at the same time, so that's a positive, is that you just have to move there, you draw, and then it's like, oh, okay, I killed it, or I didn't, and then you just put it to the bottom of the deck, you keep playing. What's weird is once you do that, once you get lucky, essentially, and kill it, then this deck becomes obsolete. And they're so, I mean, going forward, the art for this game is just absolutely, stunning. Like for everything for it, all the cards, full tarot-sized cards of art. It's gorgeous. But it's like in a 2-player game, especially the deck, this becomes completely useless. Shopping kind of becomes lame because I killed the monster. I don't need any of those items.
Weapons are great. Yeah, because I reset that store 4 or 5 times that game just to try to get the icons to be able to do that stuff and everything. Yeah,
it feels a lot more mechanical about that, and because you don't get anything for killing a monster except a token, which is one of the victory conditions. Right. So that part feels more mechanical than thematic. And I would have liked it if there could have been a couple there's a couple things I think I would have enjoyed potentially a little bit more. And I think once again they went for simplicity over complexity. So one of the things is, I feel like if they wanted to be punishing, there's 2 ways. One, there could have been ways for you get to, maybe an action or maybe a card ability that lets you peek. But I think what would have been nice is if you go out to fight, and you're like, it's the Cloud Dragon, and it's, a Yumi and a shuriken and a coin. Well, let's say you didn't have the Yumi, you did have to spend that.
Yeah.
And because you still did fight it, but you just failed. You don't, because then that would allow you to still want to go shopping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that would actually be bad in practice. Like, it might be annoying since it is random. You spend your time to move down here, and you're just like, and then I just bought the shuriken, and I just lost it.
Another thing they could have done with it is to keep that deck relevant.
Yeah.
Is to have like those
symbols. Icons on it.
So to beat them, you may get a symbol.
Yeah.
And then you're just you're still.
Or you get like a passive ability.
Or some sort of ability, something benefit for that card that keeps you wanting to
go back and fight them.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the easiest one. In my opinion, that's the easiest one to complete.
Yeah.
Of the 4 things.
Yeah. I mean,
because
the deck.
You just buy stuff, have time and money, and just dive in, see what happens. That's the first thing we both got.
Exactly. And once you do it, it's just like, okay, I guess that's that. Yeah, you have to kind of go out to a monster spot and do it and spend an action, but it's just an action. You just have to draw it and be like, oh, great, I have a katana and and okay, I guess that's dead, and don't need these anymore. Which is a shame because I like looking at these. The art is just so, the variety for it. And they have, the artist of who drew this, the traditional Japanese art. It's so fantastic that it would have been cool if those monsters, gave you something. Like the locations, these location cards that have the continuous effect. Right. Yeah, if these all had a continuous effect.
Now, one thing, 2-player game versus 6-player game.
6, yeah.
Those spots are going to be taken up a lot of time, and they're not going to be...
Yeah.
Because we stayed in those spots for a little bit until we were able to beat them. So
that's true.
Block people out.
Yeah.
In a 2-player game, we could just sit there because we weren't really.
Yeah.
The spots weren't contested.
That's true. So that's probably what it is. In a 4 or 5, a multiplayer game, which is on the back of this board. I don't believe there is. I'd have to look at the. I don't want to flip the board. Well, they're only showing a 2-player game on the.
Okay.
So, we've only ever played this at 2, which once again. Which brings me to the next thing that's unique about this game. It's entirely simultaneous.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I would not have liked it at all, except for having this up here, having the person be able to be
yeah,
and then they go down the track. So then
Right.
the next time, because that almost becomes a strategy too. It's like, you know, if I know for a fact you're going for that deal, I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it too. And then you'll
Yeah.
be like, oh nope, I'm trumping you, and then I
Yeah.
get the next choice. You know?
Yeah,
So
it's so frustrating because
I know.
it's like I need that, and it's like, oh nope, I have the initiative.
Right,
It's like,
right.
oh.
So as much as I dislike real-time games,
Yeah,
having that and be able to, you know, keep it. Plus, there's no downtime in the game. Obviously, when you
No,
play
there's
with
not.
there's no downtime because you're except for when we're shuffling, you're waiting on me to make a decision.
right. I'm just like, all right, I know I'm not drawing any
So-
cards. I guess I'll shuffle my deck.
But as far as the real-time stuff of all that buying and doing the actions and stuff, this part is what saved it for me
Yeah,
from not liking it. Because if that wasn't there, and it was
It
just
would be
first
very-
come first something. Oh no, I'm gonna grab that because I'm
Yeah.
faster than you and I'm paying
where it's a
attention.
card. Fuck.
Right, then I would not have liked it at all. But
No, I completely agree. It's kind of like it, and it doesn't slow the game down. It's not like, oh, we have to do this whole ordeal to try and decide who breaks the tie. That's the Rising Sun idea. That's like an honor thing where it's like, I'm higher than you, I get priority.
Right.
And then okay, now next time I'll get priority. But there's also ways to mitigate that. There's item cards that allow you to go off the top of that, which is
Right.
interesting. Because everything, so that was my one weird thing. It's not bad. It is simple, and in a multiplayer game, I'd have to see the other side of the board because I can't remember. Is if
there's more monster spots.
if there's more monster spots. But yeah, this is the 1 to 3 player game. So in a 3-player game, someone is trying to get in and fight it. Or, I mean, that's the double-edged sword. If we're trying to fight and in a 3-player game, or even this one, it's like, I don't feel like fighting. I'm not going to worry about the item deck. I'm just going to go search.
Yep.
I'm going to go run around
Just
and
keep building and
Yep,
keep
and
finding
find-
these cards. And,
and find your location,
Yep.
and then be like, great, okay, now I only need 2 of those, which is huge. Because getting 4 of them, it's not like you need to find the location and get 3.
Mm-hmm.
You have the objectives.
It's almost like, a game we played earlier wasn't tested as much.
Yeah.
It's like they really put the time in on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And the focus is on, like, the board can be minimal
Yeah.
because the focus is on the cards.
Yeah.
So I mean, they put a lot of work in this game. You could tell. I mean,
Yeah.
because there's not
Besides the art, it's very obvious that they put effort into it. But yeah.
right. But I'm just meaning just like all the game is here except for you're kind of just moving around and stuff on that. That's why the board's so small.
It's really just an organizer, honestly.
Right.
Like there's a little bit of deduction because there's ways that you can just start revealing locations,
Right.
which is good for you and for
Right.
the other players. And it's like whenever you move down here, and then you were in Osaka,
Yeah.
and then you were kind of like because you could have came down here. You're like, can I go around? And I'm like, yeah.
Well, the only reason I
you
didn't
can.
go down there. Well, the only reason I didn't go down there is because I was wanting to find a place where I could build a
build a shrine.
shrine, and you had already built one down there.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I don't need to go there because that's where I can't build
Yeah.
a shrine there.
I'm like,
Yeah.
man, because when you asked that, I'm like, oh, absolutely, because I happened to get both of mine. You're what was it, Thule? Yeah, you got Thule and Kirishima, and I'm like, man, each time we've played this, my secret location has been right where I started.
Yeah.
Because they also have a few variants. They have the Teapot Variant in a multiplayer game, which is you give it to the person who least wants it, and that person turns it left or right, and that's how you rotate the cards. Because in that 2-player game, we're only handing each other our cards.
Interesting.
But it determines the draft order. Very small variant.
Yeah.
The variant for the unique players is, of course, the special abilities, which are a little bit different starting items. And then your player board, which gives you kind of a little bit more of a goal. Like whenever with the mountain and river of the Kiso Road, each time I buy a snow, I get a coin. So all the variants to play this game is just so clean.
Yeah.
Like there's no weirdness. Now there is actually a negative I do have, which is, and there's ways to mitigate it, which makes it less of I really don't like it and more of just an annoyance, is the wisdom deck, which is because you need certain wisdom icons to do certain actions, which are victory conditions, like the building the Shinto shrines, is, oh, I need Shinto cards. Okay, there's one there, and okay, you got it first, so then you take it, and then none come out. Or one, it's like, oh, nope, this is the first one, and that one's there, and it's like, why can't I just take that one?
Well, that's why I was curious, because with them both being on the table, I was like, surely
Yeah,
that's why I was looking. I was like, is there like a money thing there, or time, or you have to?
Nope. It's essentially another way you would have to build. You would have to build to where you can study multiple times because you can only hold 4 wisdom cards. So you okay. I'm going to study twice. So I'm going to take that one and then take the Shinto Shrine.
Or if you pay to wipe it out and put new ones out,
right?
And see if you get lucky,
right? Which is why having these free location actions were awesome because it's like, okay, you took the shrine I wanted, great. Okay, well, I'll save my time and not do that action because I get a free one to clean it and hope I get lucky. That's probably one of the only, besides the monster deck being really just all about kind of luck, that was the only one that really kind of affected it because it was like, man, I just can't get a freaking shrine, so I can't build because 2 of those winning conditions rely on getting those icons. The Chia one or the Chow one.
Pagoda, getting those
True.
deals too.
But once again, those are all icons, but it kind of reminds me of Tang Garden, where it has the icons and then the full art, but this is just a lot better in every way. It's just, yeah, like, I was thinking at first, having to pass cards around, I'm like, I don't know if I would want to play this with more people, but it would be pretty chaotic trying to do everything all at once. It works really well, the simultaneous play at 2, but I don't know how, like, imagine that at 4. Like,
you'd have to
really pay
attention.
You would always be on that, so then it's like,
Yeah.
at that point, might as well just do the turn by turn.
Yeah.
Because there's no funkiness of 3 people trying to go for 1 card. It's like, I'm ahead of you, so I get to take it. I go to the bottom. Oh, now we got to replenish it, and then it's all it becomes all weird.
I almost think that this would just be better with 2.
Yeah.
Just or 3, but 2 most likely, just because if there's the same amount of locations, which I think there are on the other side.
No, there's 4 more or 5. No, there's like
more of these.
Yeah, there's 6
Okay.
more locations that get taken out in a 1 to 3 player game.
Gotcha. I was just curious because I was like, they're going to get discovered so fast. I mean, if that's one of the winning conditions, you have 2 people get it, and then you have 4, 5, 6 people on the board.
Yeah.
Finding the
there's 7 more locations.
finding somebody's location would be easier.
It's a little higher, but maybe not because that's assuming that someone's going to run wild with the search cards, and that's not the case because now that's more people trying to draft for those, as well as because the biggest thing is not so much, hey, here's 6 cards, divide them into piles, which I love. It's also, oh, thank you for your 6. Nope, you're not going to search. So discard that one. But there were times whenever you were like handing me, and it's like, I don't want you to search because I knew you were right there. I was like, I can't allow him to search, but then you'd get the ones that let you use your entire hand.
Right.
It's like, fuck. But I was like, but then you get to organize, and it's like, okay, he could search, but he doesn't get any movement. So I'll make him make that decision. Does he want to move or does he want to search? It's brilliant. It's such a unique way of deck building in a gorgeous game, in a very simplistic but deep strategy, which is what I love. Like, you don't have to make your game complex to give it a lot of layers.
That's what I was saying. The cards are the focus. Like, they do a lot with these cards, even more than because you have to make the decisions on the cards and how you use the cards. Everything's cards.
Yeah.
And that's
all your actions are dictated. Like, you have some freedom with your player board, but then as you start completing more objectives, it becomes harder for you to do it. So, it's like, if you don't do the monster one and you cover up your shop and you're like, oh, I need to try and kill a monster, but I haven't gotten any items. Crap, now I need to start buy cards to let me shop. It's so good.
So, question, so this one was always covering up this
That
space.
is always covered.
Always, no matter what. Okay. Because it has the action. I didn't know if that was I
think that's just to be an icon for your secret location.
Gotcha.
There is, in the future you can, your decoy, you can move it around, but that's also the case if you find it, they get that token.
Gotcha.
Which, since I found it, it makes my player board actions a lot harder. So, so if you're actually building to search and you happen to find it, well, now you're going to have a limited time on trying to do the other actions. Yeah, because it was close. It was all you needed was one way to just move there and search, and you would have found it. And then the tiebreaker is highest on the influence track, which would have been me in this
Right.
case, because there's no tying there. You had so much money.
I know.
You had so much money.
It's like, I was just trying to find something
Mm-hmm.
that would help, and I did buy some things that,
Yeah.
that were search things and everything. They're in here.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, I mean,
pop up.
you know as well as I do, it comes down, you gotta burn through,
Yep.
gotta get rid of those cards. Because you bought like 2 search cards, and I was like, well, his deck is still pretty big. He's not going to get to those for a while. So I was pretty lucky in that regard. It's so good. And I just think the art enhances it. I cannot talk up this art enough. And what's also great is if you're not moving a lot, but you can shop. Oh, I'll just get 2 coins to get a boat. Okay, and then now I'm going to ship all the way, ship all the way down there and search there. Why not? And it's like, oh, hey, I found it. And then you go till the end of the round because you can tie. It's so good. I think the monsters, I just wish did more, because I mean they're so neat. They just, I mean, really, the monsters almost feel like tacked on. It almost feels like they really just wanted to showcase the art, and they're like, well, how can we put this in the game? Okay, well, we'll just make some random items, and then they'll be useless afterwards. Because you don't attack each other, you don't ever fight more monsters. I don't know. It's weird. That part is extremely weird.
I'd be curious what they do in the previous version of this game.
What was that? Date to the wise.
Yeah, like if there's if it's just the same setup, different stuff, and if they have it something that does something similar to that, that's
because
not.
I think that's Greek mythology,
Right. So I would just be curious, how
they changed
if it's
it.
the same game just with different theme put on it, and all
Yeah.
the different stuff, or
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
that one came out 2 years prior. Yeah, it was 2019, I believe.
Okay.
Was that one. So
And I never heard of them. I just, oh, okay, yeah, this is Feudal Japan. I'll just pick this up. And it just worked out.
Yep.
When we were first learning the game, and I was like, reading about, oh, you hand your opponent your cards, I was like, do you share cards? I thought it was initially like, I hand you 6, you
Right.
take one and put in your own discard
Yeah.
pile. And I'm like,
I was very hesitant when you were talking about all
Yeah.
that hand, but it worked out.
it's like, I don't want people to build my deck. I don't want to steal cards from someone else. Yeah, but it wasn't like that at all.
Stacking my huge stack of money.
You had so
even though
much
I
money.
lost.
Yeah, yep. You feel wealthy. I mean, as a Ronin, that's just kind of who you are. Yeah, and the miniatures, they are what they are.
They're serviceable.
Yeah, they're kind of there. I mean, I'll take these. These could be painted. There's only 6 of them, but other than that, I don't really have a whole lot.
Yeah.
All right, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this? It actually, 45 minutes to 120 minutes.
Yeah.
That simultaneous worked pretty well in a 2-player game.
Yeah.
Haven't tried it with more, so it would be interesting to see if it's clean or if it's a clunky mess.
Probably
Which
just depends on who you're playing with.
that's also true. Yeah.
I liked it for sure. Going into it, I wasn't sure. Like I said, it had to have been a good game to get me to like it because I don't like the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's a good, innovative deck builder, brought a lot of new things to the table. I want to really see what the solo variant plays like. I'm not taking that into account with this, obviously. But,
Right.
But I would probably give it a good, solid 8.
8.
Good, solid 8.
Cool. Yeah.
You know?
That's a good score. I am gonna go higher than that. I'm gonna give it a 9. I think for gameplay, I would give it an 8. I'd agree with you. But the art, I love the theme, and the
Right.
art is fantastic. So that's gonna bump it
That's
up.
what I was gonna say. If it was a different, like if it was some sort of other theme, like maybe
Maybe
that
a Greek mythology one.
like it would be a 9 if I liked the theme.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's it.
Yeah, because it wasn't like some weird, like you said, they give it to a bunch of different artists and have them do their interpretation. Because I looked up, at least for the monsters, it says like their names, Utagawa Kuniyoshi, and he's on here actually quite a bit. But I was like, oh, is that an actual artist? And yeah, it was one of the artists from this time period. So I think they put a lot of effort into it. The wisdom cards with the quotes, and then also like the ones with the text on them that just tell you like lore. I think they really put their heart and soul into making sure this game wasn't some pasted on piece of shit. So I gotta give them props for that. And it's a solid, innovative deck builder because, like we said earlier, deck builders aren't something that are my go-to, especially pure ones, because it's like I feel like you go through the motions, and this one, every single time I was handing cards to you, and because I was excited to see what I was getting from you. It was like, oh, you're constantly thinking and making decisions for other players, and then once you get yours, then you're once again thinking and making decisions to try and quickly just go through a streamlined game. That if this game was like 2 hours, I think it would overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
But at about an hour, it's so solid.
Well, and something else really quick on these cards, when we were getting these location cards, I like that because a lot of times in deck builders, they're currency cards or they're actions. You get to do both.
Mm-hmm.
You get to collect on those cards, and they have an action. So you have to pay attention to both things.
Both of them, yeah, because it's like, ooh, I need more time, but that action's not great. I don't want to burn any more cards.
Like a game we played prior, it was like you either spend it for the money or you take the action.
Yeah.
This was you collect and do. So that was another thing. It just makes the cards that much more of a focus again.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's our thoughts on Philosophia Floating World. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.